early, but that's going to be okay. So I wanted to tell you before we get started, please don't do any super chats or none of that. I don't want you paying for any of those messages. We're going to try to get to all your questions, so don't worry about doing that. Kelly's monitoring the channel as so we can see the questions as they come in. Now, we do have some questions that came in late from last week that I'm going to address while things get going and people come on and give us some more questions. So one of the questions from last week from Nan McKelvey is, do you make and sell the tree markers? If you remember when I made those tree markers for the fruit orchard, the little aluminum tag, so we knew what all the varieties of the trees were. I do not make and sell those. I apologize, but they're super easy to make. If you watch the video, anybody can make those. They're really easy, but I'm sorry I don't make them and sell them. Now, Heather Foreman had 3 questions. The first one was, how tall are you? I'm 6'4" to 6'3", depending on which convenience store I'm walking out of. But right around that tall. I've been that tall for quite a long time, but I think I am shrinking a little bit as I get older, like happens to anybody. And I'm assuming you were talking to me because I was on the video, but I don't know if Kelly wants to give her right out. Do you share sourdough recipes? We have not yet, have we? Did you do a sourdough recipe yet?
I don't think on YouTube. On Facebook, I've been posting them when I do.
Okay. Do you plan on sharing any your sourdough recipes?
All mine are other people's recipes, so there's not really anything special. But usually when I make something, I share it on the Facebook page. So if you're interested in seeing what we're doing with the sourdough, or if you want the recipe I use to start my sourdough starter, which is super simple, just let me know and I can put that up on the Facebook page. I think it's already up there in one of the sourdough recipe or pictures that I posted, but I can post it again.
And I'm going to try to talk her into doing some. So maybe we'll get a couple of her recipes. I love her sourdough chocolate chip recipes. Looks like Sammy's here, my youngest.
Hey, Sam.
How you doing, Sammy? Miami Sammy. That was her nickname back in the day because she had blonde hair.
And Linda.
Linda's here. I saw your new videos up, Linda. We're going to go watch that after this. Country Dad's here. Hello. I forgot your wife's name. It's Country something. Hopefully she comes on too. Now, Heather Foreman, her next question was, do you compost? Yes, we do. If you've seen some of our garden channels or when I'm doing homestead updates out there, we have a huge compost pile that we turn with the tractor, and makes it a lot easier. And we've got the moisture this year to where it's going to work really well, where we didn't have that last year. But all of our waste from the homestead, all of our yard waste, leaves, whatever we have, old vegetables, whatever, we can throw out in the compost. However, the vegetables, now that we have the chickens going this year, Kelly will throw into the chicken coop, and they love all that stuff, especially like zucchini. But yes, we do compost, and you'll see that. There's Country Fun. That's Country Dad's wife. Nice that you're here. So yes, we do compost, and we're going to be using that. I was going to do a garden update out there and show you that the snow was melting and things were looking up, but then we got more snow and it's all white now again. So I won't do that until it melts. But once we get going in the garden again, we'll use that mulch to mulch down the planting row. And then if you remember, when I put the garden to bed, it's ready to go out there. There's no work that needs to be done other than mulching and planting, which is good. So we'll mulch, and then we'll plant right in that mulch. You pull the mulch apart and plant right in the mulch, and that keeps your weeds down through the row. So that's a long drawn out answer for your composting question, but yes, we do. Sammy, she's leaving work again, so don't get in trouble at work.
I think she said leaving work.
Yeah,
she's leaving work for the night.
We're 2 hours difference in California, so she's just getting off work at 5 o'clock out there. Now, my mom asked, are you planting beets again this year? And I've got plenty of beets in the root cellar, so we'll probably skip beets this year. And they're easy enough to grow where the short growing season that we have, we'll be able to grow those. We won't get caught. And with a early freeze or late freeze, we have enough time, even if we do get those, to still grow beets. So that's not a problem. Country Fun, have you all raised quail on your homestead? No, we have not. Kelly's kind of the bird person. I'll let her answer that one.
Well, you're the builder, so it really depends on what you're willing to build for me.
Well, you could probably brood quail in your brooder, but we'd have to have a place to put them unless they ran loose, I guess. But
Yeah.
predators would get them out here.
Yeah, there's a little bit of interest in it. Well, I should say a lot of interest because I think it'd be a fun hobby, but I'd want to do more like a catch and release. I don't think we'd ever raise them for food just because they seem kind of small and tedious and a lot of work for the little meat that you get on them. And we've got chicken eggs, so we don't need quail eggs. But I thought about doing quail and pheasants. I wanted to do like a raise and release, but that just doesn't, from what I've read up on it, they don't release very well into nature after they've been raised in captivity. So
yeah, I had an interest in raising pheasants because this is a huge pheasant area here in Nebraska. And we even have a local pheasant hunt called the One Box Hunt every year. And pheasant hunting is huge here. And we get people come from all over the nation for the One Box. But like Kelly said, when you raise them in captivity, like a lot of these pheasants they use for the One Box are, and they go release them to be hunted, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's really not fair, but they're raised for that purpose. The wild pheasants we have are kind of few and far between. There's really only one area where Kelly goes to work that we see pheasants, which is a couple miles away from us. The habitat's better over there because there's a river and a lot of cover and all that. So they do okay over there, but there's not a lot of pheasants. So I wanted to do that, but again, I think the predators would just knock them out really quickly. We've got an owl that's moved in out here as of late, and I'm even afraid of when we release the guineas out in the yard that when they go up and maybe roost somewhere, we're going to try to get them to roost inside, but we don't know if that's possible or not. But if they get up into the trees at night, the owls will get them. So.
Country Fun says you should build me a bigger coop.
Yeah, Kelly would. We covered that last week. Kelly would definitely like a bigger coop, even though.
I don't know. You priced me out of that last one.
Yeah.
Don't ever ask a former construction house builder to build you a chicken coop because the simple stuff turns into a very expensive project. But you know, that thing is still standing under feet of snow and winds, 50, 60 mile an hour winds and cold. And
it is definitely built to last. That's for sure. We didn't cut any corners in that chicken coop. We did build it on the cheap though. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff we got cheaper. I mean, just the basic materials, I guess we had to buy, the roofing and all that, but we did pretty good finding things like the windows and stuff like that to where we saved a lot of money on some of that stuff.
That was about the only thing. I think everything else was brand new.
Yeah. Well, all the reinforcement in the concrete, that was all used stuff. All the formation for the concrete was all used stuff. A lot of the hardware I already had on hand because I like to keep that stuff in the shop. So
I was pretty specific in my request on that. So we had to, there wasn't digging around the property and finding pieces of this and that or whatever, just because of the way I wanted it built. This was our third coop that we've built since, well, my entire life, but since we've been together, and they get bigger and more extravagant.
Yes, everyone's been bigger.
I don't think he's going to let us move again.
No, not until we both get old and can no longer handle this place. I think we're here. So, easy cooking with Linda B. You're the cutest people, Kelly. Have you the sweetest smile. You both are the best. That's not a question, Linda. We appreciate it. You're too kind. Some of the things coming up here on the farm, like I said last week, we got some more welding projects I want to do, but we had a huge dip in the temperature the last few days. The one day we were down to almost 40 below zero, wind chill, and super cold. I was outside for maybe 10 minutes, taking the snow off the cars for Kelly in the morning, and just that little bit of time, even in insulated gloves, my fingertips started feeling like I was getting frostbite. So it gets pretty hairy. Now, was it this morning? It was like 7 below zero, but there was absolutely no wind, and that makes all the difference. It was dead calm this morning, so it didn't feel cold at all. I was out there for 15 or 20 minutes before I left for coffee, and I didn't get cold in the least. So the wind changes everything out here in the cold. Now, a lot of people will comment when we tell them, hey, you ought to move to Nebraska. It's beautiful here. They say, well, I couldn't do the winters. Well, everybody assumes that the winters here are terrible, but they're really not. Just like Arizona tells you it's a dry heat down there, it's just a dry cold here. So it doesn't feel as harsh as like the wet cold where we came from. And just like California, when it gets 110 degrees, there's days where you just don't go outside. So it's the same thing here in the winter. During the summer, we're fine. We don't have days where we have to stay inside. But in the winter, yes, there's days you don't do anything outside. The shortest thing you do is from the house to the vehicle, and that's it. But any kind of work outside is ridiculous. And I do have the wood stove in the shop, so I can get out there and do stuff. But when it's that cold, it just takes so long to take the chill off the shop that I'm just burning so much wood. I would love to insulate a shop one of these days and have a thermostat heater in there. My cousin's got a setup that's really sweet. His shop stays a constant temperature all year long. It's insulated. He can walk out there anytime, and it's like 50 degrees in there. It's kind of nice, but that's a long way down the road. Yeah, easy cooking with Linda B. I think she lives in a colder climate, if I remember, to take the wind chill out, and it's tolerable, absolutely. You don't want to be in the shade either. If you're in the sun, it could be 10 degrees outside, and you can wear a t-shirt and walk around out there and not get cold for a while as long as you're in the sun. Get in the shade or the wind blows, forget it. Country Dad, have you ever started working on that little John Deere engine? You read my mind. That's coming soon. It's gonna have to be a series of videos because there's no way I can handle all that in one video. So I'll
Sorry,
do it.
that's Ruby drinking in the background.
Yeah, Ruby drinking her gallon of water. There's no way I can do that in one video, and I don't want to keep the videos so long to where I can do it and show it in one video. So I'll probably do it in stages. I'll show you what I'm doing one day, and then that'll be the end until the next time, kind of like some other people do when they have long projects. But yes, that's on my list. I at least want to get it tore down and figure out what parts I need. I already got kind of an idea. There's a person down south here about 45 minutes that actually refurbishes magnetos and igniters, which the magneto on an old engine is what creates the spark, and the igniter is what sends the spark into the fuel in the cylinder. But they refurbish both of those not far from us, so if I have issues with mine, I can take them down there and he can refurbish them. I know I need all the gaskets, but everything else is pretty much there. I think the bearings are good. I'm going to have to mess with the valves in the head and probably change some springs on those because some of them feel, a couple of them, there's only two, but they both feel kind of loose, and I don't have a lot of compression right now when I spin it. I'm thinking I should have just a little bit more compression. So it's going to be a process. I have the manual on it, and I want to do it kind of in junction with my friend Matt coming out here because he knows all about that stuff. So when it comes time to start it, I want to have it all back together to where we can just adjust a couple little things and get that thing started. He can show me a little more on it. But yes, that project is coming. If you didn't know, if you haven't followed the channel, I want to make an ice cream maker with that small engine. There's some Amish folks that make a kit that you can buy the kit and put it on a cart. It's a 5 gallon. Of course, you can get 10 gallon, whatever. But it gives you all the parts to hook the hit and miss engine up to the ice cream maker. And we could take it to big family functions or something like that and make 5 gallons of ice cream at a time. It'd be pretty cool using one of those old hit and miss engines. And that's really the reason I bought it, because my buddy Matt also has one of those out in California, and that's what he does with his. Let's see here. Country Dad, I understand. Okay.
He said that a while ago, so I'm not sure he wanted that whole long-winded explanation. But
So, well, that you ask a question, you may get a long-winded answer from me.
He wants to know how many horsepower it is.
I believe it's the 3 horsepower. I think they made the John Deere E came in 1.5 or 3. I believe I have the 3. But I can tell by the serial number and stuff when I look it up, but I'm pretty sure when I looked it up, it was the 3 horsepower. Linda's got a question for you. How long have you been a nurse?
It depends.
You never changed the pin.
I did for a little while.
Did
I was
you?
a CNA.
Oh, okay.
I got my CNA in 1997 or 98. And then in 2011, I got my LPN or LVN, depending on which part of the country you're in. And 2017, I graduated with my RN with my bachelor's. So depends on which part of that process you're specifically talking about. It took me forever to get because for many reasons I had to start and stop school again. And
That's the only reason we got married, because she needed insurance for her school.
it's not the only, that's the reason we got married when we did.
Quickly, yeah. But funny story how we got married, but I won't cover that unless you guys want to hear it. But now she provides insurance for me, so it was a good trade-off. Let's see, Country Fun. How did the wrestling turn out? Actually, very good. The local boys
Ruby.
did fantastic. Ruby's getting in trouble. The local town here, they sent, 10 wrestlers to state?
I think it was 11.
11? And there was, I believe, 3 of them that got gold. So that was fantastic. And then our cousin's kid, who's from another town that's further away from us, about, 40 minutes. They sent
7.
seven wrestlers to state. So it was a huge for the local wrestlers here. And we had 1 that got gold, right?
Yes.
And then our cousin's kid got 6th place at state. He medaled because they medaled down to 6th. And he was wrestling 100 pounds above his weight class, so that was amazing. So it came out great. Kelly went to state wrestling. That's probably why you asked.
Well, I don't know if they can read it, but
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
wearing my wrestling.
She was there last week when I did the live there at state wrestling in Omaha.
If you've never been to a state wrestling tournament, I recommend it. I'm not a sports person, but it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
How'd you like Omaha? You've been there before.
Yeah, well, it's like any big city, and I try to avoid those like the plague.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
wasn't as bad. Wasn't as bad as living in California, but the traffic and everything, the congestion, all of that, it wasn't as bad. But I was happy to come home.
Welcome, Alex. You're not that late. We're only 20 minutes in. So let's see. No more questions on that. What do you got coming up around here, babe?
Well, right now I have my seed starting that I started downstairs. I think you did a little video on that one day.
Gave him a glimpse of your microgreens, which were fantastic, by the way.
Been growing some lettuce and some spinach downstairs. So, what is it? Maybe once a week we're able to clip those and get 2 salads out of them for dinner, and they're really, really good. And it's really surprising to me, even though I grew lettuce and spinach out in the garden. Ruby,
Hey, stay out of the tree.
she's digging in the
She's
trees
getting her
again.
own tree again. Crazy dog.
How tender they are from the inside grown ones because they're not in the winds, they're not having to fight the elements and everything. They're just down there under lights with water all the time. So they're very, very tender and delicate, but they're really good.
Fantastic. We've been on a salad kick lately. We've been buying lots of salads. We don't buy the bag lettuce, but whenever we have to supplement
Ruby.
lettuce, I get the tubs because that lettuce doesn't have a weird flavor like the bag lettuce. To me, tastes weird, like it's got a preservative in it. But I like the lettuce in a tub. It's much better. And we go crazy on the salads. We put so much stuff, nuts and fruits and all kinds of stuff. My favorite blue cheese, and then Kelly does several different dressings every now and then. But yeah, we've been eating a lot of salad lately. In fact, we just had salad for dinner tonight. Alex, that pasta salad was excellent. Did you make it? I hope you did. You must have
Your
it. You said it
recipes
was
have
excellent.
not failed, so
And then he says your recipes have not failed, and I'm glad to hear that. I try not to post recipes that aren't good. They are tried and true recipes if you find them on this channel. And if y'all didn't know, we have playlists full of recipes, and I did those playlists like I told you last time. So if you don't like just all kitchen stuff, you can go look at the shop stuff or vice versa. Of course, the garden's going to be coming up pretty soon. It won't be that long because we try to start seeds May 1st so we can plant out June 1st. So we're going to have to start looking at our seed stash. I went by Arrow Seed today, by the way, and they don't have their seeds in. They're probably not going to get them in until right around the last part of March. So we'll have to go through the seeds that we have that we've saved, see what we have and see what we need to buy. It's a good thing to do this time of year, especially if you're ordering from seed catalogs. You need to start getting that done so you have the seed, especially if you're in a warmer climate, because like California, March 1st is when they're planting out. So we're several months or a couple months behind them, obviously, but time to get that done if you haven't done that already. Let's see.
I just want to go back real quick. Linda said nursing was a noble profession. I just wanted to say thank you. I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't doing it. COVID kind of changed things for me and a lot of my nurse friends and coworkers, but we hang in there. It's a profession that we love, and we're always happy to help our patients and do the best that we can. So
Yeah, and they say cops and nurses make the best couple, and I can attest to that. You know, been working.
good thing.
Yeah,
It'd
fantastic.
be long days if we couldn't stand each other.
Absolutely. In fact, I just got a comment on our How to Keep a Spouse video this morning. Somebody went back and watched that. Great video. I had fun making that one. Let's see, Alex. Yeah, you made it. Wonderful. Fantastic. I'm glad you made it. Super easy, right? My mom even wanted another serving of it. I took her a little bowl, and it's her recipe, and she says, wow, that was so good. Can you bring me some more? But she says that about everything, so I don't know if I just did really good or if she just, wanted more. Let's see. Country Fun. We just planted lettuce, spinach, Swiss chard outside in the garden. Fantastic. You must live in a warmer climate for sure. I forget exactly where you're at. Linda Grindstaff. Hi guys, first time I've ever chatted. Glad to have you. If you got a question, shoot it, because that's what we're doing. Alex Hernandez, everyone on here needs to make that salad and use shells, not the elbows. I think it would be good either way. I even like the rotini pasta. That's one of my favorites.
My aunt makes it with the little tiny, what's those little, they're just a little loop pasta and they're only about that wide. Hers are,
I'd have to see them.
it's just a little circular.
Now, Kelly's mom makes an Italian pasta salad or Italian pasta salad that's phenomenal. And I'm going to do a video on that soon. We have the recipe, but I got to get a hold of her mom, and she changed the recipe a little bit, and I got to make sure what she did, but
It's just more red vinegar.
really good. So there's a little more vinegar than what the recipe had. Okay. That's a really good salad. We're going to make that for you. Another pasta salad, Alex. Let's see here. Country Fun says, hi, Alex. If you didn't see that, I don't know what you guys can see and what you can't. Country Dad, you were a cop. Yes, if you want to call it cop. I was a deputy sheriff for 25 years. I retired out as a sergeant. I was a supervisor when I retired. Worked for Sheriff's Department out in California. That's where I met Kelly. We met in jail. She was a jail nurse, and she was on my shift at one portion of the time, and that's where we met. But I don't recommend that profession now. It'd be a little tough this day and age. It's a thankless job. It really is. When I retired, it was nothing like when I started, but it provided a great pension and allowed me to retire at 50. So I can't complain about that, because I believe I said before, it's not a business you want to do when you're old. But it worked out. I came out alive, even though I had some injuries. One of the inmates cut me from top of my head down to the back of my ear with a razor blade, laid me open clear to my skull in one of the altercations we had. And we were fighting 1 to 2 times a day out there in California. I was hurt a few times, had back injury, been through the mill, but I did a lot of stuff with the Sheriff's Department. I was involved with a lot of stuff. I was on the underwater recovery team. I was a range master, academy instructor. We did lots of stuff, but most of it was fun. Like the diving, that was a fantastic hobby of mine. I found a way to get paid for it, so it worked out. Let's see here. Everybody saying hi to each other. Sammy, my youngest, what is something that you have never grown but have always wanted to try? I can't say there is something, Sam, because between your papa and I, we've grown just about everything. And I always tell everybody, don't grow something you don't buy at the store, because it's kind of a waste of time and a waste of space. So I can't say that there's anything that I want to try new. Is there anything that you can think of that we haven't grown that you wanted to try?
Well, I think there's stuff that we'd like to have, but are limited due to our weather.
Oh,
Like the
for
citrus.
fruit especially.
Yeah, the citrus. But as far as, I mean, if we have the capabilities of growing it and just have it, I don't think that first year with the garden, you pretty much planted anything you get a hold of.
Yeah, we had to really go gangbusters that first year to fill the root cellar.
I'd like to do more herbs, but we need a little bit more space, or need to co-plant, which is something that I'm researching more now too, and getting into more herbs to add into our diet to hopefully cut his diabetic medications and not be so dependent on pharmacies and that type of stuff. See if we can get more natural, healthier stuff in.
I tried
Just
kohlrabi last year, but I wasn't a big fan. I'd never had it before, but probably won't do that one again. We're getting behind.
Not that far behind.
Country Dad's in Oklahoma. My brother lives in Oklahoma, right around Ramona, Oglesby area down there.
Oh, he was a cop also.
Who was?
Country Dad.
Oh, nice. Thanks for your service.
And his wife is laughing that we met in jail, said it must be love.
It was.
It was embarrassing, that's what it was.
Well, we had some issues because there were some jealous people running around that she worked with that were jealous I don't know.
No, I just mean the way that the whole thing went down. One of the nurses set us up, and yeah. I'm not a forward, outgoing person at all, and it was really, really embarrassing to me, but it worked out.
She was asking me questions. I'd go to the medical department every now and then and just kind of see what's up and check in with them. This other nurse started asking me questions, and I figured she was just inquiring because she was already in a relationship. But she was sitting in the room, so she was listening to all the answers to those questions. Well, unbeknownst to me, that's what I was getting grilled over. And she didn't ask her to do it. She just did it. But
the funny thing was that his answers matched me so perfectly.
Yeah. But we had some rumors started about us that were completely untrue, which caused a little drama at work. She actually got moved to another facility that was terrible. And it got ugly there for a while. So, you know, the whole dating people at work, but we got through it. She eventually started working for another company, so all that went away. Let's see here. Alex Hernandez, it was the dressing and the sliced eggs on top, but the shells helped. Can't wait for the new salad. Okay, we'll do that for you. Again, glad you like that. Linda says, tell him, but I don't know what that's about.
You don't have to read every comment, babe.
Yelled at.
Oh, see, Alex says something about garlic is doing good right now. That is something that I would love to plant. We planted, how many cloves was it? They just didn't come up, but I don't think we planted them at the right time of year for here.
Yeah, we're still figuring that out for Nebraska.
I think we did some soft neck, and we probably need to do some hard neck. So we eat a lot of garlic in this house. Zucchini, we never have an issue with.
No, we always got plenty of zucchini. In fact, at one point last year, I pulled out every other plant, half the plants, to give once they sprawled. That way I could weed around the plants a little bit better because they'd all grown together. So every other one I pulled out. But we got plenty. We love zucchini relish. Fantastic stuff. We make a lot of it. And we put it on a lot of stuff. Fantastic on hot dogs. One of these days we're going to do a video. Kelly making her Kelly dogs. Oh my, I've never tasted a better hot dog in my life. And they don't taste the same when I make them for some reason. When she makes them, phenomenal. Best hot dog you ever had.
Country Dad has a channel. He says to check out his old Fairbanks Morse one-cylinder diesel
No
engine.
way. I'm all over that. What's the name of your channel? Because that's right up my alley.
He
And
said type in my YouTube name. Is it just Country Dad?
Must be Country Dad. Sweet. My buddy's into small engines too, so I'll get him on that as well.
Alex, I think there's a recipe, video on the zucchini relish.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
In fact, the year that we did that recipe, we also grew our own sweet peppers, which I want to do again this year.
Yep.
And that kicked it up an additional notch. That stuff is so good. I can eat that on anything.
The relish or the Thai chili sauce we made?
Well, we did both, but the relish had our sweet peppers in it too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Let's see here. I'm sorry I'm not looking at you. I'm trying to look at the questions here.
One Bright Light asks about the weather. Mark went over that a little bit in the beginning, but you might not have been here. Right now, we're currently sitting in negative temperatures. Yesterday was about negative 30 with wind chills. It's supposed to get warm into the mid 40s this weekend and this coming week.
I stayed in the house all day today.
Obviously, I'm in 2 long sleeve layers and he's in a white
I'm
beater.
hot right now. I've been cooking all day. Just got through with some strawberry jam, canning it. So.
But yeah, we've got snow on the ground. We got probably about another 3 inches of snow last night, which was unexpected to, I think, everybody in this area.
We were just getting to where we could see the grass. The grass was showing through, and we had a lot of areas melted off, and then now we got more snow to deal with, and the driveway's going to get muddy again, but hopefully not as much because it's not as much snow. But we were just getting the driveway dried out. It was kind of nice.
Oh, Linda Grindstaff is Italian and Cajun.
Wow, that's quite a mix. You
That's
should
gonna
be a
some good
fantastic cook.
food. Country Dad said yes. That's the name of his channel is Country Dad.
50 horsepower motor. That's got to be huge. Now, out where I came from, I had a buddy named DJ.
Bye, Linda. She's leaving for the night.
Which Linda?
Linda B.
Oh, bye, Linda B. We'll watch your video here in a little bit. There's a guy named DJ out where I used to live. He was a member of the Wheat Association, which stands for Western Heritage Engines and Tractors. And he actually does a get-together at his place every year. They used to have a big section at the county fair where they would go in and have all the hit and miss engines and all that equipment. And I love that. Me and my dad would go look at that area. It's the first place we would hit. And then the county fair board booted them all out. Said people are no longer interested in that stuff, and they booted them. And that was terrible. We love that. And I hated to see it go. But the guy I was telling you about, He's got a huge engine that sits on a lowboy semi trailer. It's ginormous. It's like 2 stories tall. I couldn't tell you what it is, but it's a gigantic motor, and they got to heat it with propane and fire it off with a smaller motor with air compression and all. It's a huge. The flywheel on that thing is probably 8 foot around. It's or 8 foot tall, but super neat. Alex says, we'll look for it. Do y'all make your own cheese? Yes, we do. There's video on that as well. You can make cheese without the rennet and all that stuff, but I've made cheese with the rennet as well. It's super easy to make. All you need is some milk. Fresh milk is better if you can get the whole milk. It's hard to get from dairies nowadays, but hopefully you can find somebody and then let the milk sit out for a while. And then you can make your butter, your cheese, whatever. You can make cheese out of like 2% milk. You can still do it. But look for that video. It's really easy. You just use lemon juice or vinegar to get the milk to curdle. You got to heat it, of course. Country Dad says his engine's an old flour mill my great granddad built back in 1918. That's fantastic. That's cool. I love history. Super neat. We've got a lot of history around here. I talk to a lot of the old guys when I go to coffee 3 days a week. I love the old stories. It's fantastic to hear all that stuff. The thing that pains me, and Kelly doesn't like it either, when we drive around, we see all these old homesteads out here that are just falling in. The houses are caving in, the barns are caving in because the bigger farmers have bought the ground up after the ground is sold. Because what happens is, you know, the family will get old and they'll die. Well, they'll have several kids. Well, the kids don't want to farm anymore, so they need to sell the ranch to split all the money between them. So it's no longer a family farm. It goes to the bigger farmers that are farming thousands of acres. They don't care about the house or the barns or none of that stuff. So it just sits or gets torn down. And it's just terrible to see that old structures fall down because they built these things back in the day when people cared, and the woodwork on the inside just amazing. The architecture is amazing, and it's just sad to see all that stuff fall in. And then the big farmers just, they don't care about it. So the other thing that happens here that I really don't care about, and I don't know how many other states have it, is there is an inheritance tax, which is better known as a death tax. So you buy a property, like Kelly and I, we buy our property with the money that we're taxed on, you know, all our life. And then when you die, your kids have to pay a death tax, which I think is completely ridiculous and it needs to go away. And there is people working on it here in Nebraska making that go away. But a little farm like ours, it maybe be a few $1,000s, but you figure these farms that got thousands of acres in these families, they can't afford just to pay the taxes on that to take possession of it. So then they have to sell it to pay the death tax, and the family farm is gone. It's so bad. That tax should not even be there because you're taxed all your life 3 or 4 times, probably taxed 4 times on that money you paid for your farm with. It's just really, I hate that. I get upset when I think about it. Country Dad says same here. I don't know what he's talking about, but
that he doesn't like seeing
yes,
the houses.
So One Bright Light, sorry if you said this before, but what made you pick Nebraska to move to? I've been coming here for years, helping my uncle. After my dad got too old to come out here and help my uncle, he custom harvested corn and grain, and he had his own ground that he farmed. Well, it wasn't his own, he leased it. But my dad used to come out during planting season in the first part of May, and he would disc for my uncle ahead of the planter. My aunt would usually do that, which was my dad's sister. So he would come out, kind of give her a break and help get things done. Well, when he got too old to come out here anymore and do it, I kind of took over and started coming out, and I did it for 3 or 4 years before my uncle got too old to farm anymore, and they kind of gave up the farming bit. But that's what brought me out here visiting, and I really love the place. I have family out here, of course. So Kelly always wanted to move out of California, and I
Not
just,
always, just the last
yeah.
few years when things
Well,
started turning.
when we were married, you wanted to go, but I had too much invested. I had to retire, so I had to at least stay till I did that, and then we got to a point where my daughter came to me one day and said, "Hey, we need to get out of California," and that flicked a switch for me, because it's like, "Hey, my daughter wants to go. Let's go," because I couldn't move before when they were younger. Well, she kind of changed her mind and went a different direction for some reason, but I was already in the full motion. We started looking for places, and it happened fairly quick. It's like once we decided to go, I mean, we got her done. It was amazing how fast we got that done. Moved all of our stuff, had the yard sales, did all that. We did it all ourselves. We had a buddy of mine come over to help me load just a couple heavy items, but mostly we did all the packing and moving ourselves. It was huge, but man, I'm still surprised at the rate we got that done. But that's why we came here, because I always told Kelly, I said, if I ever move out of California, I'm going to Broken Bow, Nebraska. So that's where we ended up. I mean, we don't live in town, but that's quite a ways away from us. But that's the area. It's kind of central Nebraska.
Bye, Alex. Have a good night.
Okay, he said he ran through the playlist. I'm glad you did. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
California with an eye roll smiley.
We were from the good part of California. And every time I say that to people here in Nebraska, they're like, I didn't know there was a good part of California. And I always tell them, I said, it's all farmland where I came from. I said, the only areas in California that have issues are the big population bases like LA, San Francisco, Sacramento. Those are the areas that are having all the problems. The rest, almost the rest of the state is all farmland and really conservative people like us.
Yeah, we had good people, good friends, good neighbors.
Yeah.
All of that was good. It was the politics of the rest of the state that was ruining it for us.
And if it wasn't for my two kids still being there, my grandkid, I wouldn't even look back. I wouldn't even go back to California. But I have still some family there. Still got some cousins there. So, I'll make a trip every now and then, and hopefully they come out and see us too. But that's the only thing that I miss really is my kids. But they understand that I just had to do this to be able to be right in my head and really enjoy the rest of my life. And like I said, the state motto is the good life, and it really is. I've never felt so free in my life since we moved to Nebraska. Just outstanding. Let's see. Alex is leaving. I think you already said that. Catch you later.
Yeah, Arizona. You see a lot of people, a lot of Californians fleeing the state. And like we say around here, you're welcome to come, but leave your California politics in California.
Absolutely.
We don't want, we had to kind of lay that out there when we first moved here. The people that didn't know us just knew us as the Californians, and I think thought we were going to come try to change things, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. I think we're even more protective of what's going on here than the natives here, because we've lived the other side and don't want to live that way again. So
I feel we've been accepted fairly well. Most of the old guys I have coffee with, they didn't take them too long to realize I'm probably more conservative than they are. So they let me right into the fold. It was like nothing. But I still get these people, because even though there's a big area out here, everybody within 20 miles says they're your neighbor. You don't have to be neighbors with just the person down the road. I mean, if you live within 20 miles, they'll call you their neighbor. And it's amazing how fast the word gets around. Everybody I've met, they'll be like, oh, you're them people from California. And it's like, man, everybody's been talking about us. It's crazy. But what was I going to say on that? When they ask me now, you're them people from California, I said, no, I'm from Nebraska. That's what I say now. Anybody that asks, are you from California? I'm like, nope, I'm from Nebraska.
And it's still funny. In fact, I think, was it this weekend? They still try to connect the fellow Californians, as if we like knew each other out there. You'll run across somebody and so and so's from California too, and they tried to connect you to see if there was any link.
Yeah.
Now it is a small world. We found quite a bit of people that have been friends or family with people that we knew out there. So, and it does seem that most of the Californians from out here are from the area that we came from. So
yeah, my friends that we have up north here, their neighbors came from California, and they were only 10 miles from where we lived. It's pretty crazy. But California is a big state. I used to get the same thing in law enforcement. My mom would never fail. She would always introduce me. Oh, he's a deputy sheriff. I was like, Mom, stop, because that's not always a good thing out in California. So you don't like that info out there. I kind of like to keep my life more private back then when I was on the job. And you'd meet somebody that said, "Oh, my grandson's so and so. He's a policeman in L.A. Do you know him?" I'm like, that's 6 hours away and millions of people away. But it's just funny how they used to ask those questions. How you're from California, so you must know. The other thing I ran into is when I visited some other cousins out in Idaho before my freshman year in high school. All those kids thought as soon as you hit the California, it was nothing but beach. It was all beach. In fact,
bikinis, hot weather, and
I started messing with them. I would say, yeah, we even get out for when the surf's up every day at school. They have a bell that goes off, and we can go out and surf for an hour and then come back for school. That's our PE time. That's just going crazy with that stuff, and they all bought it hook, line, and sinker. Let's see here. Everyone's my neighbor. Yep. Country Dad, I couldn't agree more. Hi, Kathy. Glad you're here. So, let's see. We got the garden coming up. What else? Oh, I think I already mentioned the little pen kennel thing I want to build out there. We still got to talk about that. Kelly.
I need a guinea cage for a guinea bin first.
We've always priorities, so you got to do those first. We've got lots of plans, lots of projects we want to do. There's still some stuff on the grain bin that I want to do. But
hi, Randy.
What's some other stuff that's coming up?
Warm weather.
Yeah, I mean, once that garden gets going, it's going to be full tilt. I mean, I made the mistake of year before last taking a trip during garden season. We both went to Tennessee to visit our friends there, and when I got back, we weren't even gone a week, were we?
No.
But,
no, we were only gone a long weekend.
Yeah, it wasn't that long, but
I think it was like a Thursday through Monday or something.
Just taking like those 4 or 5 days off of the garden, it got away from me, and it wasn't the same the rest of the year. It did. The weeds got away from me because I stay on top of the weeds out there, as you've seen if you watch the channel. But once it gets away, it's hard to get it back. You got to stay on top of it. So I told Kelly, I said, I don't want to travel during garden season anymore. I want to do all my traveling before and after, which works out well because our trailer doesn't have air conditioning, so we need to camp in the cool weather. And that's another thing I want to do this year. I've been out looking for campsites, going around. It's hard to find them. Everybody here likes those little pavement strips all in a row, and there's no trees and mountains or water. It's just like camping in a parking lot, and we're not used to that. When we camped in California, it was up in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and you're in the mountains. You can camp near a stream, you can go camp near the ocean, but they just haven't figured out the campgrounds here. The only ones that they have near like the water at the lake are all day use campgrounds. You can't camp next to the water, or they're handicap, and you can't use them because they have to have the handicap areas next to the water. All of their campgrounds where you can pull in a trailer are up on the hill, and you can't even see the lake. So it's rough. I'm trying to look for some places. I've got a couple leads I'm going to follow. There's a place down on the river here not too far from us that I'm going to go check out where supposedly we can camp right next to the river. So, but that's my
Johnson
focus
Lake
too.
had some good spots.
Yeah, but I think early season that would be okay. We found a lake last year where there's houses completely around the lake. It's a man-made lake, but there was a campground, but it was jam-packed full when we were there. But camping off season, it probably wouldn't be. So we need to check that out off season.
Country Dad says I was telling you what to do.
With what?
I think in regards to that dog kennel thing
Oh.
you want to build.
The reason I want that is it would allow me to travel a little bit more because I feel like I'm kind of handcuffed to the dogs right now. There's some places that I just can't take them, especially if I go a long distance or something, if I want to go out and see my kids or something. If it's cold weather, obviously I have to have Kelly off. But during the warm weather, she could, in the morning put them out in that large run area and they'd be fine all day. I hate to have them cooped up in the house all day, even though Brandy could do it. Brandy can go 12 hours and she's fine. Ruby don't have that bladder yet, but we're working on it. But I think that would just kind of free things up a little bit if Kelly had a place to put the dogs if I wasn't home and they're not cooped up all day in the house. And then during harvest too, I was taking Brandy with me driving truck at harvest, which was fine. But now that we have two dogs, I can't very well take two dogs with me. So it just loosens things up a little bit.
Do we have any broody hens or will we be incubating any eggs? I do have my Buff Orpingtons since the time they started laying late summer last year, they go broody pretty easily. So currently I have one Buff Orpington that's broody. I have to get the guineas out of the ER bay before I can work on hatching out anybody, but I would like to put my two lavender Orpingtons, that's my rooster and one of the hens, in that pen eventually, and so that I knew for sure that I had lavender Orpington eggs, and then have the lavender Orpington hen never goes broody or hasn't gone broody yet, but I'd stick those under one of the broody hens to hatch out, and not necessarily to keep because I think we're at max capacity right now, but just kind of start replenishing flock. And I see a lot of people in this area that are looking for laying hens, and the baby stage to me is fun, so I don't mind growing them out. And I've never had a rooster, so I've never had the ability to hatch out eggs. I don't have an incubator, don't plan on getting an incubator, so it would be something fun, but it wouldn't be something that we would keep the results here. I'd be looking for other homes for them and I wouldn't hatch them out unless I had homes for them already. So
Now, we had a question last week too that I forgot about when do you cull your chickens? Which,
when do I cull?
that's not me. Yeah, culling the chickens. Do you cull and when do you cull?
I don't, but my chickens are more my pets that just happen to lay us food. So they have a home on our property until they're no longer around.
Now, I've always told everybody if you want to save money on eggs, having chickens isn't the way to do it.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because
chickens are a hobby, not a.
Yeah.
I mean, there are benefits to them, especially if you free range. They're good bug collectors, but that also comes with dangers and risks. And
now, if you couldn't get eggs at the store, that would be a whole different story. It would definitely benefit you to have your own chicken.
Well, yeah, and we have 20 hens, and there's no way, when they get going in the nicer weather, they're all laying. There's no way that we eat that amount of eggs.
We've been even
month
even in this weather, we've almost getting a dozen a day until we got the cold snap. But
yeah, so no, there's no intentions for us to cull our chickens. If it was something that we decided to do eventually, I would wait until they were, wrapping up their laying for their lifetime and go with that. But I don't know at that point how good the meat would be on them.
Now, in the past, we've had chickens that have struggled and stuff like that, and sometimes you don't want to see them suffer and all that. But being that's Kelly's hobby, she's attached to every one of those birds out there. So it's not like we cull them out and start fresh, because they'll start molting harder and all that, right, when they get older.
Yeah. Usually their first season they don't molt. I think the lavender Orpington molted. I don't think she looked like she was getting picked on, but I think it was really just a hard molt. But she's come through that just fine. But
The cat finally attacked me the other day. He'd been fluffing up when I'd go out into the coop to check on things when Kelly was gone or during the day when she's at work. He'd been fluffing up and kind of coming at me. But while she was at state wrestling, I went out to check the food. And as soon as I come out the door, he come at me and got on my leg and was just spurring the heck out of me. Luckily, he doesn't have very nasty spurs on his leg, but boy, he come after me. He got punted about 6 feet, and then he left me alone. But he's finally done that. I'm wondering when it was going to happen because he's been a pretty mellow rooster, pretty much. He's real good to the girls out there. But
I think it's a combination of you never being in there and then just your sheer size.
He doesn't give Kelly a second look.
No, I turn my back on him, and he has opportunity to, like when I'm collecting eggs, he's up there roosting. He could jump on me pretty easily, and he doesn't.
Yeah. Country Fun says, birds first. You got to keep me in line.
He knows that's
her birds are first. So
he tells me to dream up the idea, and so I just go along with it. It gives him projects.
I was so proud of her with the blueprint. She came up with that coop, which is amazing. She doesn't have a building background or none of that, but her plans were very specific, what she wanted, and I didn't have to really come up with anything.
Well, third coop and lots of research and knowing what I haven't had in the past, and as long as I was paying all that money, I wanted what I wanted.
I hate to see the next one if we're building another.
I don't think there'll be a next one. I do want to do something permanent for the guineas, but it's not going to be near as extravagant.
Now, I am going in with the neighbor down the road, our friends down here. We're going to do some meat birds this year, so I do have to build sort of a tractor for those. I have one in mind that's just going to kind of skid out in our grassy area out front that I can move pretty much every day, but that's only 8 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, it depends on the breed. But
yeah, we're only going to do like 20 birds, and I think we're going to do the Cornish cross, and he'll get 10 and I'll get 10. We have the if you've been following the channel, we have the plucker machine and all that now that we've acquired, so we'll be able to knock 20 birds out, especially with the neighbor's help, pretty quick. And
especially when it's over 32 degrees.
Yeah, we did it in freezing weather when we did it. We're gonna do it when it's a little warmer.
There's gonna be shorts involved in this one instead of snow pants.
There will. We've got 2 questions on weed fabric. One bright light says she tried to do weed fabric last year but didn't like it. I don't care for it either. I'm right there with you. Linda, was it Grindstaff? Grinstaff. Yes. She said, do you want to use weed fabric? I do not. I've always found weed fabric to be kind of a headache because it always pulls up and makes a mess. And to do things right, you really need to pull it up every year so you can amend your soil and all that. And then you've already got your holes in it, and it'll tear when you pull it up, and you got to store it. The way I do the garden, which we couldn't do the first year, but we were able to do it last year because we actually had some mulch and we had a mulch pile. Mulch down that row, you will hardly get a weed in that row. Like Kelly's flower beds here out front, there's no weeds in those flower beds. Just make sure your mulch is a good 3 to 4 inches deep and the weeds won't grow through it. Now you might get a little weed growing on top that'll sprout, but they pull out like nothing. But the only thing I have to weed is the center of the row where the dirt is. I have to go through there, and I'll go through like every other day, and I can weed our whole garden, which is like 60 by 80. I can weed that whole garden in about 20 or 30 minutes and not have any weeds. So it works nice. Use the mulch. I have the drip line underneath the mulch. So that's how we get our water when we need it. We don't have to water that much here because our soil holds water really well. But we have the built-in drip line when we want to do that. So if you're interested in drip lines, DripWorks is the best company to work with. They don't sponsor us or anything like that. But if you're interested in drip irrigation for all of your stuff, which we do here, for our roses, for the fruit trees, for the garden, everything, DripWorks is your company, and you get the stuff really quickly. They have so much stuff. It's fantastic. Kelly, do you wear glasses?
That's not what it says.
Do you water glass? What's water glass? I'm not
You
wearing my
wear
glasses.
Maybe you need your glasses.
Yeah.
No, we don't water glass.
What's
Interesting.
water glass?
Where you put the eggs in like a bigger container and do the lime and the water in them, so they're shelf stable. Then.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Oh,
I thought you meant.
we've
I
talked
thought
about
you were
it.
doing the float test.
No, we don't water glass. Mostly because we don't eat very many eggs. I mean, for is we have lots of hens and we get lots of eggs, but we don't really eat that many. So Sam says, "Dad, put your glasses on."
I don't usually. I don't wear glasses for close up stuff. I only need glasses for like far away stuff when I'm driving. If I read a book, I take my glasses off. It's weird.
Yeah, so no water glassing here. It'd be fun to try it just to see if, I mean, everybody's proven that it's worked. It's what, centuries old, but fun concept. We just don't have a need for it. We don't go through enough eggs that quickly. In fact, all winter long, even when I saw a slowdown in how many eggs we were getting each day, I was still able to sell off what we weren't using. Customers, had to be patient as at times, depending on how many dozen they were requesting.
But she does wear glasses
I wear contacts
when she's not wearing her contacts.
So yeah, and I don't wash my eggs when I bring them in. I leave the natural bloom on them. We don't refrigerate them unless they've been sitting for a while, which usually doesn't happen. And so they'll last months in the refrigerator if they're unwashed, and there's just really not a need to do it for us.
I used to work on an egg ranch when I was my first year in high school, I believe, and it was all manual. We had to go through with a big cart and pick the eggs out of the trough. But we used to get eggs from there. We'd get like a whole case of eggs, and Mom would keep those eggs in the fridge for like 8 to 10 months. It would take us to use that big case of eggs. We never had a problem. They were always fine. We've never had a problem storing eggs. Country Fun says she was not big on weed fabric either. She has Country Dad till the soil for her.
Sounds like about here.
That's great. If you want to look at my method, I actually have a video on keeping your garden weed free. It's really, really basic and simple. And if you can't put in 20 minutes every 2 or 3 days, boy, I don't know if you have time to garden, because that's really not a lot of work. I call it hoeing around. I tell Kelly I'm going to go out hoeing around out in the garden.
He said they already watched it.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's not bad. One bright light. All my chickens stopped laying completely all winter except my silkies. Without them, we wouldn't have any eggs. Do you have a light in your coop?
Well, a lot of people have had issues this year with their hens stopping laying, supposedly. And
how many hours of light do you supposed to have to get them to lay more?
Minimum of 14. That's usually why they slow down in the wintertime, is not having as much daylight. You can artificially support them to help that, but there's a lot of speculation that there's issues with feed. I didn't see any decrease that wasn't unexpected. I mean, the weather, they always slow down. My hens are very picky and finicky about their weather. If there's snow on the ground, their feet aren't touching it, so they stay in the coop. When they stay in the coop, they get bored and they're not necessarily looking to lay eggs. So we see slow down for a couple of days when they're not leaving the coop.
They do love shrimp.
Yeah, they got some unexpected shrimp tonight, and they feasted. They liked it. So
let's see here. Oh yeah, so if you don't have lights, that might be one of your deals. Make sure they got enough light during the day. We have, looks like a chicken disco out there in our coop. We got everything but the turning ball going on. Let's see, Country Fun. That's right. Gardens aren't for weekend warriors. They're a daily thing. And they don't even have to be daily. Just every
Yours
other
is
day.
daily.
I go out there daily, but it's not like I'm doing hard labor daily.
No, but
not.
you fret if you can't go out there daily.
Well, I have to get my garden fixed. I got to be out there in the garden. So
Well, there's been studies done that say that people that actually put their hands in the soil live healthier
I believe it.
lifestyles and don't suffer from as much depression.
When I get done in the garden, I'll go sit on the bench over by the apple tree and just stare at my garden. I just love even looking at it. Or after I mow the lawn, I'll sit my chair up under here underneath the tree and look at the pretty green lawn and have a jar of iced tea and just
I thought you
enjoy
do
it.
that while I mowed the lawn.
Well, Kelly's like the primary mower person, but if she gets really busy, I do it during the day. I know she doesn't like when I mow the lawn, but she can't do it all. She works full time, so every now and then I got to jump on the mower. Well, we've gone an hour, so I think we're going to wrap it up. We don't have any more questions anyway. If questions come in later on the when it turns into like a regular video on the channel, we'll definitely address your questions next time we have a live feed. I can't guarantee we're going to do these every week, but we'll do them kind of randomly. What did you think about the 7 o'clock? Should we stick with 7, or would you like it earlier or later?
That works for me.
Yeah. So we'll probably stick with 7 o'clock. And like, I don't know if you all saw the post that I made that said next live feed Friday. I did that this morning, so I'll try to do those as well. Maybe next time we can do Facebook Live at the same time on the Mark Kelly Farm Facebook channel. You still have your tablet?
Mm-hmm.
Because you could watch the tablet and we could do the Facebook Live too on the Facebook channel all simultaneously. Get all crazy with it.
Yeah, for our whole
I don't know how
handful
many-
of fans.
I don't know how many fans you got on Facebook. So.
I don't either. I don't know how to read the statistics on it.
Yeah. Me and Jared say we love you. Have a good night. You too, Sambo. So hope you got all your questions answered. We'll do this again sometime. I probably won't do one next Friday, so don't be looking for that, but we'll put one together soon enough. So till next time, stay safe, stay healthy.
Bye, guys.
See you later. You got to figure out how to turn this thing on.
You're the seasoned one.
Let's see. Bye.
Bye, guys.